Hey guys, it's Jen and I am here to share kind of a bonus process video with you. Usually I just do videos on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, or Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. But I wanted to share these new cut files with you that I have in my shop. Let me just really quickly, I have them all cut out right here. So these are this is the Spooked cut file set that I have new in my shop today. And these are all the cut files that are included. There are 13, so it's quite a lot. And I am going to be using this trick or treat one and these stars on the layout that I'm making today. But I have more Halloween photos, so I will be using this in the future with some other photos as well. Be sure to, later today I'm going to post a video on how you can use the cut files, the PNG version of them, on your photos as digital stamps. So even if you don't have a Silhouette or some other cutting machine, you can use these files to print on your photos. So with that in mind, I've got my two photos I'm going to use for this layout. I've already cut some stuff on my Silhouette, and then I've pulled all of my Halloween kind of papers, which isn't very much, and I'm going to go ahead and get started on this layout. So I've gone ahead and pulled out the cut files. I'm using the negative here, and I've just lined it up in Silhouette Studio so that I have my title on the left, and then I placed a bunch of stars above and below the title, and I'm going to back that with different papers. I already know that I want to frame the entire paper with this black and white striped paper. Black and white stripes just screams Halloween to me, and I love a diagonal stripe as a border. So now I'm just playing around with some of the papers that might be able to fit behind some of these words, and I decided I wanted to use a variety. So I'm just going through my scraps and pulling out anything that I think might work. I don't have a ton of Halloween paper because, quite honestly, I don't scrapbook Halloween very often, but I have a bunch of really cool photos this year that I want to scrap, and so I created these cut files so that I could get those scrapped, and I'm excited to play around with them. So I'll be creating a few more layouts with these as well. So like I said, I'm literally just pulling random scraps. These are from various manufacturers, new, old, mostly old actually, what I pull. That paper that's outlining the entire layout is from the Maggie Holmes Confetti Collection, and then I'll end up using that orange striped paper, which is from Lawn Fawn, and that's from last year, I believe. And then I'll use that Chamel paper, which is the orangey red, and some green cardstock that's the back of a really, really old Dear Lizzie paper. So I'm going to spare you most of me figuring this out, but I'm just finding some papers that will back those. And that paper to the left right there is an old basic gray paper, the text print, and I really like that. I am using the negative like I mentioned before, and I did not put the little like the centers of the R and the A and stuff like that back in, but you totally could if that's something that bothers you. I know that there are some people who prefer to have that inside, but I don't care, so I didn't. So here you can see I backed the trick or treat in 3 different colors, and then all of the stars with that basic gray pattern paper. Now I'm using just some computer paper to create some layers behind my photos, and this is something that I am kind of stealing from now I forgot her name, Purple Mailbox, Ashley Oliver, and I love the way that she layers up subtle patterns or just regular paper behind her photos, and so I'm kind of creating a little bunch of layering like that. I'm also using a little bit of vellum and some Bella Boulevard Halloween die cuts. These are older, but they still definitely work, and I'm just using them as little tabs and a tag poking out of the top of my photos. And just adhering those down with a little bit of my American Crafts This to That adhesive. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my sewing machine, and I'm going to do some contrast stitching with some black thread. And I'm just going to stitch underneath that October Fun tab and then across where it says trick and treat. And I'm just doing like a messy line back and forth a few times on each word. It looks cute the way it is, but I just wanted to add a little extra interest to it. And And I'm just using a sewing machine. I got this sewing machine in junior high. It's an old Kenmore sewing machine, and I just use it for scrapbooking. I rarely sew fabric, but I know people ask about that. So if you are going to sew fabric, use a separate needle at least, or if you have a different machine, that's great too. I always like to pull my threads through to the back, just so they're not hanging on the front, unless that's a look I'm going for. But in this instance, I wanted to pull them through to the back, and then I'll just use some washi tape to secure those. I pulled out some gold striped washi tape that I thought I might use. I got that at Michael's. Oh no, I got it at Hobby Lobby on sale. All their Christmas stuff was on sale, and it was in the Christmas crafting section. So, but I end up not using that washi tape. So again, I'm just securing the threads with a little bit of washi tape on the back. And now I'm going to go ahead and finish assembling my layout. I really love the way this is looking, and the traditional Halloween colors, I think it just looks really cute. And I really like the way those stars look. Are the stars in the cut file, there's 4 stars, and 2 of them are solid, and 2 of them are like the open stars that are drawn kind of. And I used both of those stars to cut these out, but when you cut it out, if you're just using the negative, obviously you're not going to get the inside part of those stars. So I just put them aside to use for a different layout, if that makes any sense. Now I'm trying to layer up some washi tape below the photos, and I'm just not finding what's going to work for me. I pulled out a bunch. Seems like I have a lot of striped washi tapes, and I didn't want to do more stripes. I have a big stripe on the outside. I have some stripes on the tag. I have some stripes in the pattern paper, and it just seemed like a lot. So eventually I'm going to go for this plain gold washi tape, which is kind of like a soft gold. It's not super shiny. And I really like the way that ends up looking. Just adds a little bit of dimension. And I layer it underneath some of the vellum so that it just kind of peeks through on some areas, and then you can get the full strength in other areas. And I am ripping it a la Misty Whitten style. So the washi tape has a ripped edge on one side, and I really like the way that looks. And I'm just going to use this little circle that says no tricks, just treats. And that's from that Bella Boulevard die cut package. This is literally the only like die cut package or any sort of, I don't have stickers or anything that's Halloween themed. So you could definitely make a Halloween themed layout with just a Halloween cut file and no other themed embellishments. I felt like I needed a little bit of green on those layers, so I just added a little bit more of that it's not patterned paper, but it's the back of a patterned paper, that plain green. And then I threaded my tag just with some twine. And now I am looking for a roller stamp to put on that white space below the tag, and I'm going to stamp the word handmade in some peeled paint distress ink. And that I just chose that color because it matches that green. And I stamped handmade because my mother-in-law every year makes all the granddaughters. There are 5 right in a row that are about a year apart each. She makes each of them a Halloween skirt, and that's kind of what this layout is all about. So handmade fit perfectly, and that's from an October afternoon roller stamp. I couldn't find that available anywhere anymore, but you could obviously use any roller stamp there. And then that is the little paper clip I just put on is a Heidi Swap paper clip, and it's got gold glitter, and I wanted to just add a little bit more gold into the layout. And then for a little bit more glittery goodness, I am using some of the new Maggie Holmes Shine glitter stickers, and I'm using the stars and just sprinkling them amongst the die cut stars on the left hand side of the layout. And that just brings a little bit more of that sparkle and shine there, and stars are a perfect motif for that. I wanted to do a subtitle that says Skirts by Grandma Susie because, like I said, those skirts are handmade by my mother-in-law, who is Grandma Susie to the girls. And I thought about using these Dear Lizzie tile alphabet stickers, but I'm not loving the way they look. They're gold, so that was nice, but it just wasn't jiving for me. So I decided to go ahead and go over to my typewriter and just type that up and use that. I like the way that the typewritten font adds to the look of the text behind the stars, and also the date stamp that I stamped the date of October 2015 under Trick or Treat with my Chamel roller date stamp. So I like the way it plays off of those two things. And I'm just placing them to fill in the gap underneath that left-hand side photo. So now I'm using my Muji pen to handwrite my journaling, and I'm just first of all talking about how my mother-in-law always makes the girls Halloween skirts and how much they love them. Malia decided to be a witch for Halloween this year because she did not want to take that skirt off after Grandma Susie made it for her. And then also just wanted to point out that those pictures capture their personality, and I love that. So Brinley and Malia are the two oldest granddaughters of, well, there's of the 5 that are all in a row. So just talking about that a little bit. And like I mentioned, I'm going to sprinkle some Heidi Swapp color shine on there in gold. And as a finishing touch, I decided I wanted to add some balled up thread. And I like that I have the vellum there because some of it's going to peek out of the vellum, so you get that shaded look and then the full strength of the string. And I'm using some Ranger Multi-Matte Medium to adhere that down, and that's in a fine line bottle. And that's going to complete the layout. I hope that you've enjoyed watching, and I will be sure to link to all available products down below in the video description, as well as over on my blog at CraftyJenSchow.com. And be sure to go to my shop, which you can access from my blog or at CraftyJenSchow.ecwid.com, ECWID, where you can find these cut files. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you very soon.